Well, apologies, guys. I was out of it for a while. We're coming back, and we're coming back strong, where I'm going to give you two updates. And again, I'll go through the very obvious stuff that Buffy for now has been canceled. I already have a few videos planned on giving all the details with the Disney Corporation and Sarah Michelle Gellar and the back and forth. Yeah, sad news. And apparently today or yesterday was Buffy Day? I've been a Buffy fan for decades. I'm like, what is it? Oh, it's a Sarah Michelle Gellar Day. Well, let's get to it. So some fans are relieved that the Buffy reboot, sequel, whatever we're calling it, continuation, is happening, not happening. They're like, you know what? The script was making them a little nervous. So they're like, it's not such a bad thing. Maybe let's wait a while and do it again. Now, let's be very clear. Disney has said explicitly they do want to do something with Buffy. But not, apparently, Sarah Michelle Gellar Buffy. Even though the fans have clamored, please come back, Sarah. We need you more than ever. And again, I will just tell you guys the truth. I'm going to do a thorough analysis of the script. But to my knowledge, looking at the script and other things, Sarah as Buffy only shows up as a cameo, at least in the first pilot episode. So if you were hoping for Sarah to take out the stake and start staking and start buffing and start, taking off clothes with James Marston, that does not happen in the first pilot episode. If James and Sarah were going to get it on the bedroom, that apparently was going to be the end of the season. So there you go. And James, I want to be very clear, never confirmed he was back in the show. So again, they had the pilot, they did the pilot, seemed they were ready to go with the rest of the series, and then they stopped. So I'm more on the side, I think we ducked a bullet because I'm nervous where Sarah was going. However, the other part of the fandom is going cuckoo crazy, and they are marching in the streets. They want it, and they want it bad. They want that Sarah Buffy, and they are marching. So I'm kind of torn. I think it was the right choice not to do it this way right now. I do think Sarah should be involved with Buffy, but on the other hand, making her the new Joss Whedon is like, I'm getting nervous. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm very, very torn. So, but that's where we are. Some of the Buffy fandom is going cuckoo crazy and sadness and madness, and the other part is like very relieved. It's very relieved. It's like, okay, it looked good, sounded good, very promising, nice behind the scenes photos, but not so sure where we're going with this. And yes, Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar Buffy was barely in it. So you're like, why call it the new Buffy? Just call it the new Slayer. Is it name recognition? I don't know. So it's in a state of flux, but we will be doing updates. And the war for Buffy is not over. In fact, the war has probably just begun. But now let us move on to more encouraging, optimistic news with the coming of Liz the Mummies. This is not the Brendan Fraser version. I want to be very clear. Not Brendan Fraser Mummy. That's happening. Yes, with Radio Silence. And there's some updates to be had. But I'm going to concentrate on the Lee Mummy, which is a straight horror. But we have a few clues where they're going. And it's very weird, but encouraging weird, that he's going to mix in a little Seven. David Fincher in a Mummy movie? Okay, all right. I'm intrigued. And the trailer was really spooky and scary and powerful. But now I have to get to the bad news, which is it's Blumhouse. Now, there are good things, right? It's James Wan. James Wan is also involved. And I'm not saying Jason Blum is the devil. He's done a lot of good work in the past, right? Split with M. Night. He's had his heyday. I was not a big fan of the Halloween trilogy or Freaky Friday or, frankly, most of what he's done. However, Jason knows how to pick a winner here and there, and he does have a lot of experience. That said, the latest offerings from Blumhouse, whether Halloween, right, the Exorcist movie, which was not really an Exorcist movie, just a lot of terrible films. That Wolfman, not a Wolfman, and probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. One of the worst films of all time. One of the worst horror films. It's one of just achingly stupid Imaginary. I just am still shocked at how catastrophically bad that thing was. That thing was just mind-numbingly stupid. So we have that. So Blumhouse does have recently a bad record. So we could go one of two ways. One is Blumhouse has learned a lot of lessons, and they're like, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do corporate schlop stuff. Jason likes to make money. That's the bad part. The good part is Jason likes to make money. So he is willing to let some good, decent visceral R-rated horror out there if it makes money. And this looks good, has a good cast, has a good director. So I'm not going to do the usual cautiously. I am genuinely optimistic. I am optimistic with a capital O. Everything looks good. Everything looks on point. And the premise is very intriguing. A couple loses a daughter to the desert and she comes back. Should be a joyous reunion. But then, of course, some weird things start happening. And so, again, this is like the Brendan Fraser mummy. It's a very liberal approach to the mummy myth. Now, more into the Wolfman, the Dracula stuff, of course, Buffy and the vampire myths. But still, there's something to be said for the mummy myths as well. So I am very intrigued. The Rotten Tomato scores are not yet available. There have been a few out of the theater's reactions, and so far it's positive. That said, this is early. It's very early, but the trailer was very promising. And Lee does have a good track record. Yes, I know. Jason usually messes things up. I admire what he did. He created his own studio system. Blumhouse, I guess, proportionally, statistically, has put out more good than bad. But I don't know. The last 5 years, I've been more and more... Every time I hear Blumhouse, like many horror fans, I just get a really big headache. And I'm like, oh no, please God. Please stop. Please stop. And Jason wanting to do Freddy Krueger, I'm like, no, please don't. Please don't do that. So I am still nervous. That said, Jason does have a side of him where he looks at quality films and quality filmmakers, right? I've been on the record. I want to work in Hollywood, and I'd like to work with Jason. But he does have tendencies to put out some, trash. There's no nice way about it. Just trash. It's just trash. I can't even understand why he did what he did with Exorcist, because it's like, doesn't he want to make money? Again, it wasn't the worst film, but I was like, what the hell is this thing? This thing wasn't much of a horror film, wasn't much of a thriller. I was just like, just seemed like a very muddled project. Had a few promising things, but overall I'm like, I'm not sorry they're moving on and moving in a new direction with ScarJo and Mike Flanagan. So there we are. But again, looking at this film in isolation, it is promising. Would mean a renaissance for Blumhouse? I don't know. That's too soon to tell, but this is a step in the right direction. So I'm going to take the first step. Not forgetting Imaginary or the atrocities of the Halloween, evil dies tonight, or all that nonsense. But still, this looks good. Looks real good. And frankly, most of the Blumhouse stuff doesn't even look good. They don't even get that right. I'm like, again, back to Imaginary. Imaginary looks so bland. Special effects are stupid. The costumes, I'm like, oh my Lord. So it looks like Blumhouse is slowly starting to recover. But we're going to see where it goes. But so far, it's looking good. So far.